Time to run through an entire GCSE French writing paper.
Oh my god, bro.
I'm going to show you exactly how you should do it. Why should you listen to me? Well, I got a grade 9 in my GCSE French, and I want to help you guys do the same. Anyways, we're doing an AQA exam board paper, but the principles and structures that I use will be applicable to any exam board. Let's get started. Okay, so first question. What's super important is that you only answer either this one, question 1.1, or 1.2. Do not answer both of them, okay? You do not need to answer both. Just one. You might even lose marks if you answer both of them, okay? Just read the question, only answer one of them. Okay, so what do you actually have to do in this question? So we need to write about 90 words in French, remember? And it's about 90 words because environ, this means about or approximately. So, you know, if you go a few words over, that's okay, but I wouldn't recommend going a few words under, okay? You really want to be writing about 90 words. If you write too many, you'll lose marks, okay? You won't get the marks because it's quality over quantity for this question. So, this question is asking you to vous écrivez un article sur la vie des jeunes. This means you're writing an article on the life of young people, okay? So, jeune is young people, okay? So, okay, we've got to write an article, right, so what's it about? So, they've given us these 4 bullet points to write about, and these aren't suggestions, by the way. These are mandatory. You have to write these into your answer. If you don't include one of these bullet points in your answer, you will lose marks. They don't have to be in equal measure, but they have to be included. You have to mention them, okay? So, let's go through what they mean. So, the first one, la musique que vous écoutez en ce moment. So, that just means the music that you listen to at the moment. That's what that is, so music you listen to at the moment. And okay, because it's en ce moment, at the moment, that means we're writing in the present tense. Okay? So we're talking about the present. En ce moment means now, so at the moment. Next we've got votre film favori. That just means your favourite film. Okay. Next, un samedi récent avec vos amis. This means a recent Saturday with your friends. So it's whatever you did on a Saturday with your friends. And obviously this is going to be in the past tense. Let's be aware of that because this question is asking you to write about different tenses. It doesn't want you to write in one tense. It wants you to write in multiple tenses. The final one is vos futurs projets pour une célébration. So your future projects for a celebration or a party. So this will be in the future tense, okay? Because obviously it's future projects. So it's asking you to write in these 3 different tenses. You don't just have to have 3 different tenses either. I mean, there's 2 future tenses you can use. There's the near future, or there's the general future tense. We'll go through them a little bit more in detail soon, but there are many tenses you can use for this question. And it's 16 marks. Now let's have a look at the mark scheme. Okay, so we've got the mark scheme here. Right, let's have a look. So we've got 10 marks for content and 6 marks for quality of language. So for content, to get into that top band, the 9 to 10 mark band, we need to have a very good response covering all aspects of the task. That means every bullet point, every single bullet point. Communication is clear, so your points must be clear. They can't be confusing. You can't say, I like films because they're awful. That doesn't work. You can't contradict yourself. It must be clear, the communication. A lot of information is conveyed and opinions are expressed. So down here, the candidate must give opinions in order to have access to certain marks. So we need to give opinions. You need to talk about your feelings towards something, towards a film, towards your date with your friends, okay? At least 2 opinions, preferably more, but at least 2. You need to have opinions in this question. Okay. Here we go, 9 to 10 as well. So the top marks, a lot of information conveyed, okay, a lot. So you need to be talking about a lot of things. This is 16 marks, remember? And if we look down here, we've got quality of language. That's 6 whole marks. That's a lot of marks just for quality of language. That's you just, you know, getting your tenses right, you know, getting your complicated structures correct. So there's lots of things involved in quality of language, and it's put down here. So, variety of vocabulary. So, you know, do you know your vocab for the different topics? For the film subject, do you know a lot of vocabulary about film that you could talk about? Or vocabulary you could talk about regarding music you listen to at the moment? Do you know how to talk about your favourite genres of music, for example? Complexity of structures and sentences, we'll go through a bit in a second. That just means, your sophisticated structures you've been learning, your complicated bits of grammar that you can pop in. For example, you can use bien que plus subjunctive. That's a sophisticated structure you can use. Now, reference to time frames. So, time frames, like I said, we've got past, present, and future. Past, present, and future. I won't write that because it'll go beneath my little thing in the corner. So, past, present, and future that you've got. You need to refer to all the different tenses you can think of, okay? I'm going to go through the tenses in a second as well. So, accuracy of the language, that's just, have you conjugated your tenses correctly? Are you spelling words correctly even? And style and register. So style and register means do not write in slang. Okay, this is a French exam. Write formally. And even by formally, that could just mean, use vu instead of tu. So vu instead of tu, okay? Just write formally, it's got to be a formal register. We're not using slang in this exam. So let's have a look. So in order to score the 5 to 6 band, there must be reference to all 3 time frames, like I said earlier. Okay, so you need to use those different bullet points to use the different time frames. Okay, what's really important for this question is that you show off. You show off everything you know. All those sophisticated structures that you've learned, you show them off. And because 90 words is not a lot, you don't need a lot for each bullet point. And when you've done your answer, count the words. Make sure you are within the word limit, not too far over, definitely not under, okay? So this is all you need for just one bullet point because 90 words is not a lot. So I've started writing an answer for the first bullet point. À présent, or en ce moment, whatever you prefer, j'aime bien écouter de la musique, surtout de la musique de rock. Okay, so we just got a first sentence just describing what music we listen to. Bien qu'elle soit un peu, we're going to put agressive. So we've got the subjunctive here. Je l'adore. Okay, so within this one bullet point, we've already got the subjunctive, adjunctive tense, and we've got that pronoun before the verb. Okay, we've already got 2 good structures in there already, and this is just the first bullet point. The second one, we could just say something like, je crois que le film s'appelle La famille Bélier. This is just a random French film. Et le film le plus intéressant dans le monde. Okay, so now we've got the superlative. We've got another sophisticated structure, superlative tense. And then what else could we say about this? We could say, I would recommend this. We could say, je le recommanderais. So now we've got another tense in there. Now we've got the conditional tense. So even though we're still just talking in the present, that's all we're doing, we still have 3 tenses. We've got the normal present tense, we've got the conditional tense, and we've got the subjunctive tense. Okay? We've already got 3 tenses. We've just done 2 bullet points. Third bullet point needs to be in the past, okay? In the past. And we're going to do the past perfect tense for this one. We're going to try and put a little bit of imperfect tense in as well. So we could say, samedi dernier, it's asking about a recent Saturday. Let's use the perfect tense. Je suis allée à Londres, so to London, avec mes amis, car on voulait voir. So voulait is the imperfect tense, means we wanted to see. So in the past tense, we wanted to. So I've got some room here, let's put it up here. So imperfect. On voulait voir les musiques. And because we need to put opinions, let's have a look. Let's use an opinion so we can see. Il était fantastique. Because we need to include opinions to get those marks. Remember, we saw in the marks scheme, they want you to include opinions in this. Okay. So that's the first few bullet points. And then for the final bullet point, what could we say? This is just a little example, by the way. You can add more sentences to this. You probably need to add a few more phrases to each one, but these are just examples of how you can fit in those structures into this. So we want to use the near future and the future. So, let's say l'année prochaine. So, next year, je vais fêter. So I'm going to celebrate. Fêter is to celebrate. L'anniversaire de ma sœur. So I'm going to celebrate the birthday of my sister's birthday. So we've already got the near future. Now, can we include something else in here? How about we include en plus a verb? So if we say en mangeant, that means while eating. En faisant, while doing. So if we put a verb with en, it means while doing something. So I'm going to celebrate the birthday of my sister. Let's think. En mangeant beaucoup de gâteaux. It's very random, but anything like that. And you've already got the near future and you've got a good little structure as well. You've got the en structure as well in there. You've got a bit more on this page as well, so you can definitely write some more. We could say ce sera délicieux. So we've already got that future tense, we've got ce sera. We've got an opinion as well there. So just phrases like that are really good to do. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to zoom out of it. I'm going to write down these structures so you know. So we've got bien que plus subjunctive that we've used. We've got on plus verb, and then you add ant on the end of the verb. So en mangeant, en faisant, en nageant. And then what else have we got? We've got je l'adore. So we've got the le, which represents an object or a noun. We've got opinions. We've got different tenses. Yeah? You see in a bit of a picture now? So we've got all these different structures that we've used in this answer just to enhance it, to make it better. What I really recommend as well is that you go through the AQA vocab list for the French GCSE and you make sure you've got all that vocab for each subject and include that subject-specific vocab in it as well. So for this question, you need to write 150 words. Now that doesn't mean exactly 150 words, you can go a bit over. I wouldn't recommend going under. Try and at least go a little bit over, but not too much, because if you write too many words, the examiners will not mark it, they'll just start marking it, okay? So quality over quantity again. So 150 words, and now we only have 2 bullet points. Again, you don't have to do them in equal measure, okay? You can write about the top one a lot more than the bottom one, as long as you reference both of them. You have to include both of them in your answer. And this is 32 marks. And now we're going to go over in the mark scheme exactly what those marks are split into. So this is the mark scheme we've got here. We've got 15 marks for content, 12 for range of language, and 5 for accuracy. So the accuracy is just, have you conjugated your tenses right? Have you spelt the words right? Does this make sense? And that's only 5 marks, but that's still a lot at the end of the day. That could be the difference between getting a grade 8 and a grade 9. So make sure you get that accuracy right. So it's important to remember there are bullet points to follow. There are just 2 bullet points to follow here, and they do not need equal coverage. But you have to refer to both of them in your answer. If you don't, you will lose marks, okay? You will not get the full amount of marks. So the content, this is what you should be aiming for here, 13 to 15 marks. So again, you need opinions, you need clear communication, fully relevant answer. So if you are straying away from the bullet points, you will not get the marks. It has to be about what the bullet points are asking you to write about, okay? Let's have a look. So 10 to 15 marks you can only get if you have 2 opinions that are fully expressed and justified, okay? So you need to have fully formed opinions within this text. Range of language. So this is where your complex structures, you really need to use these, okay? And the other one, it just makes your answer look great, but this is where you really need to pull out all the stops, all the structures you can think of, okay? All the tenses, all the different perspectives from pronouns, you know, all the different grammatical structures you've learned, all the different vocab you've learned. This is where this all needs to come out. Okay, so complexity of sentences is really important. So try and do compound sentences, you know, so do a sentence, say or, however, or link them with a connective, with also, often, sometimes. So even just linking those questions, making sure obviously no slang. It's got to be this is a formal piece of writing. No slang is needed, okay? Fluency of the writing, so make sure it all fits together. Communication has to be clear. So you can't, you know, you can't write a sentence that doesn't make sense in English, okay? It has to make sense in English as well as French, okay? So, variety of structures. So this is where it's going to be maybe subjunctive, you know, subjunctif. Maybe you do the on plus verb, that kind of thing. Variety of structures. You could do conditional, so you could say je dirais que, using that conditional tense. Just things like this, basically. So you should aim for all of these, especially variety of vocabulary is the easiest one. If you've revised the vocabulary ready for your GCSE, there should be no issues. You should know all the vocab in the AQA vocab list, and I'll do a separate video going over them, okay? So, finally we've got the accuracy of language. So you are allowed a few errors, okay? They don't expect to be perfect, they know you're not fluent in French yet. They just want you to have clear communication and to understand what point you're getting across. Verbs and tense formations are secure. So the important thing here is to get your tenses right. So know how to conjugate the tenses and know how to conjugate them in the different pronouns. So if I said je dis, I say, how would you say they say? If you don't know that, you need to go over those verbs and make sure you know how to say them in the different pronouns. Okay, so that's the mark scheme that we've got. So our first bullet point we have is the positive and negative aspects of our school. So we can't forget to do both of these, okay? You can't just write positives. Even if you only have positive things to say, make it up. Come up with some negative phrases to use. And this is even giving us a little clue here to use negative structures. Okay, so we haven't used that in the last question. Negative structures. So that could be je n'aime plus, je n'aime que. So those negative structures. So the first one means I no longer like ... something. I no longer like cake or something. I no longer like chocolate. This means I only like, with the que on the end. So I only like cake, I only like chocolate. Okay, so that little word changes the meaning a lot. So an example sentence then. So we need to really show off in this question, okay? We need to show off everything we know, okay? For those 12 marks, for that range of language, everything we know needs to go in this, okay? All the tenses, all the vocab, everything. So an example question, let's start off. So we could say, premièrement, so firstly, we're starting off strong. Je dirais que, because although we could just say je pense que, I think that, it sounds better to say je dirais que, I would say that. Now we've already got the conditional tense. We've just started, we've got a whole conditional tense already, okay? Je dirais que mon collège est l'école la plus utile dans ma vie. Okay, so now what have we got here? Superlative. So we've already got another good structure there. We've got the superlative. So my school is the most helpful school in my town, most useful school in my town. Okay, so why do we think this? So let's see, so les professeurs m'aident beaucoup. Okay, so the teachers help me a lot. So the M means they help me, okay, and we're putting it before that verb. So again, we've got another good structure here, help me a lot. Let's say à cause de mes galères scolaires. So that just means like my academic struggles, my school struggles, okay? So galère is like struggle, so you can say je galère, so I struggle with something. So now we've got à cause de, we've got math, we've got these good structures already coming through. Remember, just make sure you keep counting the words as well. Make sure you're not going over the 150 words. So let's have a look. What else can we use here? So en plus, could use a little good phrase. En plus, that means like what's more, like, you know, and more. En plus, bien que mon collège est très... Oh, no, not est. First mistake I've made there. Because we got bien que, we need the subjunctive. So soit très petit, so very small. We could say le... Actually, let's say je l'aime. Means I like it. So again, we've got that little object pronoun, we've got the le before the verb. That's another great structure that we put in now that we've used. Okay, so this is quite difficult actually. I'm coming up with this on the spot now. I feel like I'm in the exam. So je l'aime. So we've got another great structure there. Okay, another great one. So we've got a bit of a negative aspect there. So although it's quite small, I love it. Okay, so we could add a little, and how about we add another tense in here? Okay, let's add a past tense. Let's add an imperfect tense. So pourtant, so however, quand j'étais petite, je détestais l'école. Okay? So when I was little, I hated school. Mais maintenant, so now, back in the present, what we're going to do is we're going to use the après avoir or the après être structure. So après être allé à mon nouveau collège. J'ai vraiment envie d'apprendre à l'école. So j'ai envie de means I want to or I fancy. So is that something you like doing? J'ai vraiment envie de means I really want to. Okay. So after having gone to my new school, I really want to learn at school. Okay. So it's just a few good structures we've added in there. So j'ai vraiment envie de, which is good. We've got après être allé as well. Another great structure in there that we've just fitted in. So what we're going to do now, we're going to use a modal verb. So we're going to use pouvoir, which means to be able to. So I'm going to say, let's say, malheureusement, je peux penser. So I can think. À une chose très triste en ce qui concerne mon collège. So en ce qui concerne is a good structure to use. It means sort of concerning my school, so about my school, okay? And then I'm going to put a little semicolon on here. À l'avenir, je devrais quitter. So we've got another modal verb here. We've got devoir, which means to have to. And then obviously devrait would be future tense of devoir. So I will have to leave. So I can think of a very sad thing concerning my school. In the future, I will have to leave. Okay, so that is technically a negative aspect that we put in. So we've got positive and negative aspects. Now let's move on to une visite scolaire mémorable. So we use the past tense, obviously, because it's in the past. So how about we say l'année dernière. We're going to do ma classe entre rendu visite à un musée. Okay, so rendre visite means to pay a visit to. So je rends visite à mes grands-parents. I visit my grandparents. But obviously, because it's in the past, we use on and rendu, the past perfect tense, to a museum. So we need to have an opinion now. So c'était incroyable. We can use the past perfect again. So je me suis amusée beaucoup en regardant. So while looking at. So again, we've used the on plus verb structure. This is very good. We want to see. So en regardant. What can we say? What can we look at in museums? How about les exhibits? Okay, so again we've used a reflexive verb. We've got the je me suis amusée. Okay, je me suis amusée, that's a reflexive. We've got en regardant, so we've got another good structure there. We're just fitting as many structures as we can into this. The other thing I'd say is definitely add as much vocab you can that's specific to the subject. So the subject is about school, right? So as well as the tenses, as well as all those structures, make sure you're adding in the subject-specific vocabulary, okay? So une visite scolaire mémorable. Okay, so let's keep talking about this trip. So, après ça, so after that, mes amis et moi. We can use the past perfect tense again and say on. So because it's we, it would be à manger du pizza. Okay. Et pour moi, c'était délicieux. Okay. And then I'm going to add another structure here. I'm going to say si je peux aller encore. So if I can go again. Let's see. Actually, we're going to do j'irai avec ma meilleure amie. Et ce sera très bien. Okay, so if I can go again, I'll go with my best friend and it will be very good. So we've used the future tense there. We've added a whole other tense in. So if I can go again, and we've added the modal verb peut aller as well. So we've added in some more really good structures there as well. Okay, so as long as you're including sophisticated structures, variety of vocabulary, using a good register, so you're not using slang, using very formal language, putting in everything you've learned, different tenses, different pronouns as well. Make sure you include as many tenses as you know, okay? So it's subjunctive, even imperative if you can, everything you can possibly think of, pop it in this question. So, We've got 12 marks as translation, okay? What we're going to do, we're going to split it up into sections. So that's actually how it is in the mark scheme. It's in little sections. So have you got this phrase right? Not just a word. Have you got this phrase right? So starting off, our history teacher. So if we almost mark it out like that. So our, notre, history teacher. So it would be professeur d'histoire. Yeah. Is quite strict. So because we're using he, it would be est. Quite, assez. We can say strict. We could also say sévère if you want, but strict works too. You just don't need the e because it's a male, so professeur. If it was a female, you say professeuse, but in the text it says I get on well with him, so it's a male teacher. Okay? And then mais, I get on well with him. Je m'entends bien avec lui. Okay? So now I've got this little whole section here because, so lui equals him, okay? And to get on well with someone, be s'entendre bien avec, okay? S'entendre bien avec, to get on well with somebody. So entendre means to hear, but if you add the reflex, if you add the S apostrophe, that means to get on with. Okay, let's move on. So, he thinks that my grades in this subject are really good. So let's start with he thinks that. So, il pense que. Okay, he thinks that my grades in this subject. Okay, so my grades is mes notes. This is a false friend. Mes notes does not mean my notes, it means my grades. So, mes notes, my grades. Okay, right, so my grades in this subject, so dans ce sujet or dans cette matière are really good. So sont, because it's multiple things, so it's plural, so we use sont as in they. Sont really is vraiment. Good is bonne. And because note is feminine, so une note, we have an E, and because it's plural, we have an S on the end, like that. Okay? So where are we? So, however. There are a lot of different ways to say however in French. So we're going to use cependant. Cependant. Okay? You can also say, if I put up here, you can say pourtant. That also means however. Okay, we can use en revanche, that also means however. So cependant, I would prefer. I would prefer. Now, if you're saying I would prefer, you use the conditional tense. So, je préfère et, so I would prefer. Okay, so using the full verb, then you're adding the ending. So this is the full root verb, and then you're adding the AIS on the end. I would prefer to study, étudier, biology. Because it's just a general biology, you'd say la biologie, because you're saying it in general sense. La biologie. If you're saying something in a general sense, like I like cake, you say j'aime le gâteau. Okay? J'aime étudier la biologie. Okay? I like to study biology. So, I prefer to study biology at university. That's easy. That's just à l'université. Okay? Because, so you could say parce que or car. So, parce que I have always loved flowers. So, here we'd use the past tense and we'd use the perfect tense because we'd use I have always loved flowers. So, I have loved flowers. So, parce que j'ai, because it's always, we add the toujours, j'ai toujours adoré, and if you're a woman, you'd add an E on the end. J'ai toujours adoré les fleurs, which means flowers. Next we've got here, we're on recently. So recently is récemment. So if I want to say I spent time somewhere, you'd say j'ai passé une semaine, okay? Passer in the context of time means to spend time. Okay, so récemment, and we'd use the past perfect tense because it was spending time, you know, in the past, we've spent this time. So j'ai passé une semaine, we spent a week with my cousin, avec mon cousin. Okay. Now we're still using the past perfect tense here, but we went camping, that's still a perfect tense. So we could say on a fait du camping, because the French don't have a word for camping, we just say faire du camping. So on a fait in the past tense, on a fait du camping in the countryside, dans la campagne, near to a river. So near is près de always comes after près de, a river, une rivière. And that's it, we're all done. There we go, an entire GCSE French writing paper. Now, if you need any help at all with your French GCSE, just drop me an email. My email's in the description below. If you found this video helpful, like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.